Hey guys, if you're watching this, it means you're a friend of mine and you've kindly bothered to take some time to watch it and give me a bit of feedback. I want to get a sense of a few things. I've had a lot of trouble trying to find a place in the house where the lighting is reasonable and the backdrop isn't too personal. I didn't really want to do it in the toilet. So if you've got any feedback about backdrop lighting, any of that stuff, this is going to be going to the public for the first time, never really done that kind of thing before. Anything about, well, I was going to say hair, makeup and clothing, but I've actually just thrown a jacket on and a necklace for the sake of this exercise because I just want to get it done by 10 o'clock this morning, to be frank. And I'm going to time it, and so I'll explain at the beginning of this first episode what the point of this is and why I'm doing it, so maybe as you watch it you can bear that in mind. I'm hoping it doesn't go for more than 10 minutes, so I have my trusty stopwatch here and I'm going to put that there in a moment so I can keep an eye on the time. So any thoughts, feedback, go hard. I've not done this kind of thing before. Video is very weird to me. Okay, here we go. I'm going to turn that on. Alright, our time starts now. Good morning everybody, it's lovely to see you and welcome to this 12-part episode on, I'm going to have to draft this a few times, aren't I, and rehearse it and edit it. Alright, I'm going to start again, and when I start again this time I'm just going through, and if I muck up, I muck up, and I'm just going to keep going. Alright. Hi everyone, it's lovely to be here. Thanks for joining us on this journey. This is the first of a 12-part series, and the reason I've decided to do this is to support a range of people who might be wanting to develop their presentation skills. Now this may be people who I've met before and who I've worked with in workshops, so hello and welcome back and lovely to see you again, and I'm hoping this might support you in reinforcing and refreshing some of the training that you've already participated in. It's also going to form the basis of a 12-part webinar series we're going to be creating where there'll be live involvement, and then there's going to be this video and audio and written reinforcement, and then you'll be coming back for a webinar a week later and we'll be discussing the exercises that you've put into play during the week and giving feedback and exploring your personal circumstances and how you want to improve and seeing if we can support you over a 12-week journey. And finally, I'm hoping it'll also form the basis of a 12-week, or as long as you would like, I guess, self-paced online training program that of course won't have the live support, but will still give you some really useful and powerful and effective tips and tricks and ideas for improving your presentation skills and having you feel more confident and relaxed and in control when you are presenting, whether that be in business, whether that be small-scale meetings, larger-scale presentations, whatever your situations are that you face. So let's get into it. And what I'd like to do with this very first episode is simply do a little bit of setup and a bit of introduction and explain a bit about how we're going to go about the next 12-part series. And in so doing, what I'm hoping to do is take no more than 10 minutes per episode. So I'm going to push through, and I'd rather do more of them and keep them short rather than fewer of them and make them too long. Three things I want to cover off just quickly in this introductory workshop. Let's talk about philosophically where we're coming from on this so you get a sense of what to expect and the intention with which I'm infusing these episodes and this training. Number two, I want to explore, checking my notes, how you can apply these tools, and then finally how we're going to go about the 4-part. How we're going to go about the 12 episodes and what things we're going to be covering along the way. All right, so let's start with a bit of philosophical background, which sounds like it's about to get very deep and meaningful, and it's not. What I just wanted to say, though, is that I've been doing this training for over 20 years now in the corporate space. I've worked with a huge variety of organisations in Australia. I've done a lot of work with leadership programs and leadership teams in top 50 Australian listed companies, and right through huge tracts of sales and marketing teams from FMCG and banking and finance through to manufacturing and mining. So it's really vast, and there are certain things that I found are relevant right across the board, whether you are senior management or whether you are fresh into the workforce, whether you are in whichever industry it may be, you know, any end of the scale, any of the kind of vast number of industries that exist in Australia. So this philosophy is based on what I find works right across the board. This is not flowing, but anyway, we'll just ignore that. And I'm already up to 5 minutes. Okay. So the thing that I find is really critical to get across is that, or the thing that I find really makes a big difference to people's confidence and clarity and comfort when they are presenting is I'm going to need a good editor. If anyone knows a good editor, please let me know. In fact, Loz, I need to chase up Chris on this. So I'll do that at some stage if you're watching. Okay, so let me just come back to the philosophy. So with the philosophy, what I want to say is that we've got a very strong belief that you are always going to be the most powerful and the most relaxed and the most comfortable when you are being yourself. So what we find when people stand to present is one of a couple of different things. Quite often, people will want to put on a show that is much more formal and much more serious and what they consider to be much more professional. And it can come across as very poker-faced and very straight and frankly quite dull and really monotone, and we lose the personality and we lose the joy and we lose the enthusiasm and we lose the conviction. So that can be at one end of the scale. At the other end of the scale, there's people who feel the need to be hugely flamboyant and kind of ramp it up, and we see people who have maybe come from a background in school of either acting or public speaking where the idea has literally been to put on a facade and put on a show. And we find that in the business environment, it doesn't allow for a real connection with your audience and for your authenticity to come through and for that true belief in what you're talking about, which is the element that ultimately influences and persuades the people you're wanting to connect with and you're talking with and you're presenting to. So the premise of this entire program as we go through it is it's going to be giving you tools and ideas for having you feel like you can be more relaxed, be more in control, and therefore be far more yourself and far more at ease. Because when you're being yourself, you can feel really confident. You've been being yourself since you were born. You've been being yourself all day, every day for your whole life. And nobody does you like you do. So let's bring that out and let's make sure that you are feeling comfortable and being given permission to be genuinely yourself right across the board. Now, I keep using this phrase right across the board, and the reason for that is that we find these tools to be relevant whether you're doing a large-scale stand-up presentation with visual aids or whether you are working predominantly one-on-one, presenting, for instance, plans or ideas to an individual client of some sort, or in a small group environment with your team. in an interactive meeting. So this should be relevant literally from the time you finish this first episode and you walk out into your office environment. These tools should be relevant right across the board. We want you to feel comfortable and to be yourself, whether it is small scale and relaxed and easy and informal, or whether frankly you're speaking to the board of the organisation. You want to be yourself right across the board. And I get a bit of pushback on that. I get people being concerned that maybe it's not appropriate to be themselves in front of the board. And I'm not suggesting that you chew gum and that you wear torn jeans and you swear like a trooper. But boards are so used to people coming to them and suddenly adopting a level of stiffness and formality, and they see presentation after presentation that's just phenomenally kind of dry and cardboard cutout. And if you can add an element of energy or refreshment or yourself or joy or interest or concern and really bring some personality into it, there's a far greater likelihood that you cut through, that you differentiate yourself from every other presentation that board is seeing. So it is appropriate. You are entirely professional in how you go about your life day in and day out. Your professionalism comes from your knowledge, it comes from your wealth of experience, it comes from your people skills. And if you try to put on this kind of newsreader poker face, then the board or the audience or whoever it is you're speaking with aren't seeing those people skills. They're not seeing who you really are and how you operate, and they're not actually seeing your professionalism. So it's undermining rather than enhancing your professionalism. So let me just give some thought to, just as an aside to you as my friends, I will not be checking my notes as I go. And where are we up to? It's already 10 minutes, so I'm going to power through this fairly quickly. 4 Ps that we'll be covering over the course of these next 12 episodes. We're going to start with the very first episode after this with the idea of point and making sure that we have a point, that we're very clear on what our message, what our purpose is, why we are there, why we are speaking at all, because without that sense of purpose, it's very uncomfortable to stand up and feel like you're waffling for no apparent reason. So having that sense of purpose really builds our confidence and gives the audience some clear, tangible reason for being there. Plan is then about how we can build a structure quickly and efficiently to help prove our point, and how we can do that in a way that focuses our thinking and that is also flexible, so that if we get questions on the day and we get taken off on tangents, it allows us to get back on track, and it gives the audience a really clear and logical structure and easy way to follow through. Props are then going to be about the visual aids and what works for you and what works against you to help you get your message across, how they can be used to enhance our presence rather than overshadow our presence. And finally, we'll be exploring personality and how you can bring your personality to the fore and include stories and include your warmth and your care and your interest and your perspective and some personal expression along the way. So these are the 4 that we're going to be covering over the course of the next 12 weeks, obviously broken down into pieces as we go. This is clearly the first episode. I'm going to finish it off there and say, welcome aboard, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm looking forward to the journey ahead. Cheers. Just as an aside for you, my friends, I'm sorry I've already asked 12 minutes of your time plus whatever I said before. I've already got critiques. I don't know whether this works. Clearly there's some rehearsal and editing required, and I certainly felt already in that like I relaxed as I got deeper into the content and was more myself as I got deeper into the content, because there's something very weird about standing here on my own talking to a video. So, a video camera. So, forgive me, I'm hoping I'll improve as I go. All right. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.